A federal judge blocked the Trump administration from enforcing some changes to how federal elections are run. Just last month, President Trump signed an executive order aimed at overhauling federal elections. A group of organizations sued the administration, calling some of those orders unconstitutional.
So the judge here issued an order to stop the citizenship requirement from being implemented immediately while lawsuits play out in court. So the judge also blocked part of the order that requires people enrolled in public assistance programs to have their citizenship checked before getting access to the federal voter registration form.
Joining us this morning, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, good Friday. Nice to have you. Unconstitutional, a word we've been throwing around certainly every single day. Is it? Is it not? As we look at this, couple different things as we break apart the executive order here. It's a one step forward, one step back for the Trump administration. But let's start with the part about proof of citizenship not required is what the judge is saying anymore.
Well, the judge is saying that you can't require because it's outside of the purview of the federal government, specifically the executive branch. The Constitution dictates that the states control and operate and make the rules for how elections are run in their state. And so the executive branch, specifically the president, can't by executive order with the swiping of a pen decide, okay, now we're going to require states to do this because that's not something that you guys can control. And so this is, I won't say a states' right issue, but it is. This is exactly what you're attempting to do, which is kind of a unique argument because typically the Republican Party is the party that's asking for things to be pushed back to the states. Even with the Trump administration, most of the things that the Trump administration is saying is the federal government can't handle this. We need the states to do it. Look at the Department of Education. But in this regard, they believe that the states can't handle it and the federal government has to implement something that's more of a holistic approach. So it's a mixed bag. The only problem with that mixed bag is that you don't have the constitutional right to do it, and that's what the judge said.
Also, and that's clearly what's in a lawsuit here. Where do you see that playing out in court, though? Because the judge is saying, hey, we need to have these play out. So where do you see that ruling going?
Well, it's just like all of the injunctions that we've talked about all week. We went back to injunction school, if that's a thing. But realistically looking at it, they go through the four-part analysis: the likelihood of successful marriage, the irreparable harm. So you can those two. If you're harping on those two, that's the easiest one to think about. It will be hard for a person to say my rights have been violated. I haven't had the opportunity to exercise my vote, so now you can just pay me because I missed my vote. That's not how it works. I missed my opportunity to vote. Money's not going to fix that. You can't go back and rewind that time. I mean, I guess you could because we're looking at votes for the Supreme Court race here in North Carolina. That's a whole nother topic for another day. But seriously, you can't go back. Irreparable harm will clearly be there. Money can't fix it. And the likelihood of success in the marriage, well, we're looking at the Constitution. The judge is playing it and saying, if I do a 50-foot view, it looks like the plaintiffs will be successful. And I have to view it in light of the moving party, which is these guys, the plaintiffs that are asking for it to be done. In injunction, and I haven't stressed this week, but I want to reiterate it this time, this is an extraordinary relief. If a judge gives an injunction, they're saying, I'm going to stop what normally should happen and do something totally opposite. So it has to be a high burden. This isn't easy. So to answer your question, after they do that injunction, now I got to go forward with the merits of the case. If it's likely to be successful in the merits, let's talk about the merits now. That's what has to happen later. But in the interim, to avoid any further harm, I'm going to allow the injunction to go in.
Okay, so this ruling from the judge was not an umbrella no to shut down all of the executive order. Some of the things that the judge did allow was the directive to tighten the mail-in ballots, the deadline for that, allowing Doge access to look for non-citizens on some of these voter lists that are out there. So it wasn't a complete setback for the Trump administration.
It wasn't, but it was. I mean, because even with that, the Doge rollbacks and things like that, it's like when you have clearances for the federal government. You have right and access to be able to get to see this information, but do you have a need? And that's going to be the problem. Anyone that challenges Doge's ability to get access to these rolls, this isn't gutting down on government spending or waste to be able to remove folks from voter rolls. So it even goes against what their mission is. Now, if you're saying you want access to this because you're some government watch group that's checking for voter security and voter fraud, and those are different. But if you're saying you want access so you can cut down on spending, they don't connect. And so anyone that challenges that would say the logical step for what you need access to, not can you have access, but what you need it for, I think would be problematic. And then even these other citizenship requirements, the issue with a lot of this stuff is that it's the wrong party attempted to do it. If the state of North Carolina was attempting to do something like this, we wouldn't be having this argument. I think it would be something that would be cut and dry. Even though they couldn't ask for proof of citizenship, they'd be asking for state identification, which is something totally different. But I think this is now an issue that was talked about during the election. And as I mentioned the other day, President Trump is trying to deliver on the promises that he made during an election. Like it or love it, he is attempting to deliver. Sometimes he doesn't have the authority to deliver on some of the things he said he can do.
All right. So, new orders, executive orders every day, new injunctions every day. So, Khalif, thank you so much for breaking that down for us.